I cannot stress enough the importance of including evolution in any school curriculum. Evolution is a central part of so many theories in biology and science, from genetics to taxonomy to behavior and to the study of disease. The principles of evolution are central to the way that these disciplines work, and without evolution, there is no way of explaining them. To think about it a different way, to teach science without evolution is kind of like teaching sentence structure without the alphabet. Without those building blocks, you don't have the tools to be able to understand how these major disciplines work. Real-time examples of evolution can be found in the spread of present-day bacterial and viral infections. If an antibiotic is applied to someone who has some kind of infection, and a few of those bacteria that are making up that infection are immune to that drug, those bacteria will go on to reproduce again and again and found a new population that is now immune to whatever drug they were being used for. This is an example of how evolution works, and animals have been evolving this way for millions and millions of years. And of course, the impetus for this change isn't a drug, but it could be the introduction of a competitor into a system, a new predator into a system, or even a major natural disaster such as a fire, an earthquake, or even a meteor hitting the Earth. All of these major events mean that only a few animals are going to survive, and this is where we think about survival of the fittest. The ones who are best adapted to survive at that time are the ones that go on to found new populations. The fossil record gives us a clear picture of some animal forms that are no longer around today, but have clearly given rise to several of the animal types that we see nowadays. From massive mammals to tiny invertebrates, the fossil record contains physical evidence of how animals looked in the past and gives us some kind of idea as to the kind of pressures they were facing in the environments that they were living in at the time. If you own a dog or know someone who does, you are witnessing the results of one of the biggest artificial selection experiments in humanity's time. By selecting different characteristics of dogs, what we're actually doing is sharing genes between these forms and creating new forms. This is exactly what evolution does, only in this case, instead of having a super drug or an earthquake or some kind of predator, it's the humans that are deciding, okay, we think that maybe the really fluffy ones or the really cuddly ones or the really fast ones are the ones that we want. So those are the genes we're going to select for. This is evolution. This is how changes to genetic codes and to organisms take place, and how these changes are incorporated into healthy adults who can then propagate their own genetic lineages. Far from being a concept that can be simply dismissed due to some discrepancies in theological beliefs, evolution is such a great big part of so many scientific disciplines, we cannot simply ignore that it exists. There's too much evidence, there's too much foundation in so many areas of academia. Evolution is something that needs to be taught in all schools, and to not do so is doing students a grave injustice.